Fury. Am I missing anybody? Okay, everybody? Chicago Alliance. Word. So, how we even got to this moment today? Let Us Breathe Collective. Because I hope everyone knows why you are here today. Just last month, a family, an actual family of people, had to sit and listen to a judge say that the killer of their daughter, their aunt, their sister, their friend, was not going to be found guilty in any charges due to a technicality. And for us as people in the world who care about justice for all black folks, and particularly for black women, it was important that we continue the work that Rekia's family started 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, right? And so whether you just learned about Rekia Boyd, or you have known about Rekia Boyd since Detective Dante Servin took her life, we're happy to have you here. Because we're in the long-term struggle for freedom and justice for all black people. Today, Chicago is one of over 20 cities taking action today for the lives of black women and girls. One of 20, over 20, across the country. So from Oakland to New York to New Orleans. New Orleans is happening right now. Washington, D.C. is happening right now. Everyone is taking action for justice for black women and black girls. And when we say black women and black girls, we mean all black women and black girls. We mean black trans women, black gender non-conforming and feminine people. We mean black cisgender women. We mean black girls. We mean poor black girls, black women who have been incarcerated. All of us. All of us. And as a black queer woman, for me, this is a sobering moment. I think there's cause to celebrate that we are all, people all over the country are taking action today. But make no mistake, the place we're standing in front of is a place, an institution that doesn't value our lives at all. And so black women's lives matter. We want you to say her name, and we want you to call out justice for Rekia. We have an amazing lineup of people to talk today out here. But for those of you who don't know, we have people inside right now at the Chicago Police Board hearing, right now, who are calling for three things. The first is immediate firing of Detective Dante Servin, because he's going back on active duty. That ain't right. That ain't right. Also, for a publicly elected civilian police accountability board that is completely independent from the Chicago Police Department. And third, for the Chicago Police Department to provide data on police sexual assaults and police misconduct. I'll say that again because I talk fast. We're calling for the immediate firing of Detective Dante Servin without a pension. That's right. We're calling for a publicly elected civilian police accountability board that is completely independent from this place. Yep. Yes. And for the Chicago Police Department to provide data on police sexual assaults and police misconduct. That's what we want. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. What do we need it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we need it? Now. Yeah. For sure. Word. In 1954, a woman by the name of Rekia Taylor was viciously raped by 6 white men. Rosa Parks is a woman who took her case, brought it to the NAACP, worked to bring it to justice. Justice was hardly served. 20 years later, in 1974, Joanne Little defended herself from rape by a police officer while incarcerated by stabbing him in the chest with an ice pick. Folks used to tell how in the South, no white man wanted to die without having sex with a black woman. We didn't need to be sitting babies. or cleaning houses to fall victim to the white man's lust. We could just as easily be picking cotton, or walking to the store, or spending money in the white man's store when the mood would take him and he'd take us. Just like that. Like lightning striking. Ida Mae Holland. This is to the police officer that was eyeing me at Panera Bread. In a restaurant nook, underneath the clink of plates and coffee pot growl, underneath a burnt tongue, bread bowl, panini, forehead greased in Chicago summer and glistened brown leg bulge and spill over a cool seat, there are blue eyes and blue uniform. It is here I remember my nails, square-tipped mothers sharpened for scalps and backs and scouring. The glossy white mud from your sockets, a stenched curd bubbling with the oiled splay of ebony porn and taboo's wet mouth. Underneath the bulk of your fastened chest, there is sweat and hardened thrum. The thought of handcuffs outside the cell block sits in the damp middle of stiff polyester. Underneath the zipper, there is pasty nightstick. There is all of my swollen woman flattened into your metal skin, the in-between of its every coal frisked. For what your forefathers left burning in the Declaration of Independence, you probably smell Southern Back Road from where you're sitting. Or the decay of mother blood in the red clay of a tractor path where a woman with a switchblade to her neck surrendered her knees. Smell like train howl on graveyard shift. I probably smell like all 6 of you. All 500 years of you, like the high yellow of bastard children. Nigger pussy. Midnight velvet in the cookhouse. I probably smell like Reese Taylor. Like the thick mound under Joanne Little's prison suit, but I look like looks could kill. Like the Delta's jagged hip and cutthroat tongue, like my hands know how to gouge, know how to mother and murder. I look like Nat Turner's X chromosome. Look like I carry your grandpappy's skin and blood under my nails. Look like a million high heels marching into the beer belly of your eyeballs. Like the business end of an ice pick. Like a fist. Like a woman. And I am. Thank you.
Do this for Mike Brown.
We do this for Tanisha.
We do this for Tanisha.
We do this for Damo.
We do this for Damo.
We do this till we free us.
We do this till we free us.
We do this for Tanisha.
We do this for Tanisha.
We do this for Rekia.
We do this for Rekia.
We do this for Mike Brown.
We do this for Mike Brown.
We do this for Marissa.
We do this for Marissa.
We do this for Damo.
We do this for Damo.
We do this till we free us.
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 Times I talked to Rekia's mom, Miss Angela Helton, when I first met her. Both times she said the same thing. They never talk about the women and the girls. They only talk about the men. And so, Ms. Helton, we're here to talk about your daughter. And there are people in over 20 cities across the country talking about her today.
As you know, they acquitted Dante Servine for shooting my daughter in the back of the head. I had to sit in court and look at pictures of her hooked up with 2 machines. Also, the place where she dropped, her brains were all in the alley. And that's, I could never get that image out of my head. What needs to be done is McCarthy, he needs to go.
That's right.
The state's attorney, whatever her name is, she needs to go. And the mayor, whatever his name is, he needs to go too. When they acquitted Dante Servine, they just pat him on the hands and told him, don't do that again. And they want to give him his privileges or whatever you call it back. I do not want to see that. I want him gone. And if it takes for me to come out every time it's a rally, if it takes for me to come out and hold a sign with my daughter's name on it, I'm here. I am here. Through thick and thin, I will be here. My daughter left this earth. She didn't leave me anything. She didn't have any kids. She was on her way to school, you know. And it says in the newspaper that he shot into a crowd. That's a lie. A crowd is 10 people. It was only 4 of them. He shot over his shoulder 2 times. Got out and shot 3 more. Overkill. You know. So, with that being said, I don't want to hear his name anymore. Only thing I want to hear is that he's not working. All his power's been stripped. Oh, one more thing. Don't trust the district attorney. Do not trust them. They'll make it seem like they're on your side, but when it comes down to it, backstabbers. That's why they need to go. Let me share one more thing with you. In court, they had, the day of sentencing, they had Cook County sheriffs all around the exits. They had police dogs, and then they had the Chicago police. Everybody knew the verdict except for us. When we walked in there, I want to know where all the police here, what's going on? Everybody knew the verdict. And I'm going to tell you something else. They knew the verdict anyway from the first day of court. First day of court. Every day that I went there, Dante Servant had a smirk on his face. He had a smirk every single day that I went to court. Batting his eyes and whatever else he was doing. Probably was drinking, who knows. But I want to see him gone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So I was reading about Harriet Tubman earlier this morning. And for those of you who don't know, Harriet Tubman led one of the largest slave revolts ever in this country's history. And she led, the river that she was connected to is called the Combahee River, right? And one of the things that she said, and she breathed what I think she breathed and other black feminists believe, is she breathed our liberation into existence. Because she said on that day, my people are free. She didn't say my people are gonna be free. She said my people don't want us to breathe. They take our breath away. And so anytime we inhale and exhale as black women and girls and black femmes, we're breathing in the air from our ancestors, the hopes of our ancestors, and breathing out to the future for the people who aren't even here today. And so I think the words are extremely powerful, very powerful. And now you will hear more powerful words from Rekia's niece, Angela Johnson. First of all, I'm 21, and
Take your time. Take your time.
I'm 21, and my auntie died when she was 22, so who's to say I will reach 22? I read this poem at her funeral, 2012. It's called My Auntie, My Love, My Butterfly. My auntie, my love, my butterfly. Your spirit is embedded in my screaming cries, and your heart is resting in the corner of mine. But I can't resist the temptation. I need you. Every day, I try to forget about your amazing grace. I try my best not to sit and contemplate
But your remembrance is a constant weight on the shoulders of someone who can't take this kind of pain. I need you. My auntie, my love, my butterfly. Your spirit is embedded in my screaming cries. And your heart is resting in the corner of mine. I just hope you can rest in paradise. Thank you.
Words are powerful. Words are powerful. Again, we are talking about a real life. We are talking about real lives of black women and girls who have been taken all over this country. All over the country. And so next up to speak is my sister and comrade, who's not only spoke out and organized against injustice here in Chicago, but she's done so all over the world. She went as far as Geneva, Switzerland, and staged a protest. Y'all know how we talk about our names are on the list? Well, her name is on the list, probably, but like the global list. She's an organizer with We Charge Genocide, and just an all-around badass woman and person, Paige May. Yeah.
Hey, all right. Hey, peace, everyone. I'm like shocked at how few people are here right now. I'm like genuinely shocked. It hurts. It really does. So I was asked to talk a little bit about state violence. I am all about calling out the police, naming police violence, but we have to remember who employs them, right? It's the state. That's why they're here. And there's this line I really like from a poem by a friend of mine named Ethos, and he says, he calls the police the perpetrators of this fabricated peace we've apparently disturbed. And I've always loved that line because we always get called out for disturbing the peace. And it's really important to me to be able to name that, like, nothing is peaceful about this moment, right? When we have huge unemployment rates, low wages and poverty, health clinics are being closed left and right, people can't access what health care there is, there are no textbooks or teachers, but there's plenty of metal detectors and cops in schools. All of this adds up to make us more vulnerable to police violence, again, which is employed by the state. So the state is at every level of our oppression, and we have to call them out for this. Now, at this point, the police are in our hoods, right? They're patrolling us, they're hunting us down, and they're leaving behind this trail of broken spines and bullet hole-filled bodies. Malcolm London. Interrupting black women. What was I saying? Anyways, it was something dope about the police and how fucked up they are. I really don't know how else to say it. We're fucked. Like, we're totally fucked. Like, things are really bad. Things are very, very bad. And I still believe in fighting back. I believe it is our duty to fight. I believe it is our duty to win. I believe that we will win. But we have to remember that we're fighting state violence and that they are going to try to co-opt us. They are going to surveil us. They are going to arrest us for petty shit and made-up charges. They are going to intimidate us. They are also going to try to control our movements through nonprofits. Make sure you know that. That is absolutely something that has grown out of resistance from the Black Power movement. Now they try to control it by giving us grants, right, that we compete for amongst ourselves, by making sure we keep track of everything in government-checked lists. And I don't even know what nonprofits are doing, but it's not very useful. Anyways, so we have to fight back. We have to name what we're fighting against, which is state violence. And we have to keep an eye out on how the state is going to be trying to take us over. And another thing is, not only are they trying to professionalize us, but they're trying to keep us respectable, right? So Raina Gossett was here not too long ago. She's this really dope trans activist out of New York, and she spoke at Incite, a really powerful conference that just happened. She spoke about how we need to not just be fighting back and building up alternatives. We also need to be defending. So we need to be thinking about what it is that we're defending, what it is that we're trying to bring of ourselves into this new world that we're creating. So when we wear the shirts that say unapologetically black, when we identify ourselves as black queer women, I ask us to think, what are we defending? Because the state for sure doesn't want us to bring that into the new world. That's all. Peace.
Paige. Thank you. What Paige just spoke about was the importance of us thinking not only about the police, but broader systems that are at play here. So when we talk about state violence, that exists in the welfare office. It exists when a black trans woman like Islan Nettles is attacked and killed in front of a police station, and she is not protected. State violence permeates so many spaces in our lives. It is pervasive. It is there. But at the same time, we continue to resist, and we continue to transform and create new things. And one institution right here in Chicago that has a tradition decades before many of us were even born is the Chicago Freedom School. Education is liberation is real. Right? Education, especially when we control it ourselves. And particularly in a city when they shut down over 50 schools. If that's not state violence, I don't know what is. That is state violence. The closing of over 50 public schools is state violence. It is state violence. And so the Chicago Freedom School exists as a liberatory space. And one of its organizers is going to speak with us tonight. Xavier.
Hello, everybody. Like Charlene said, my name is X, and I'm from the Chicago Freedom School. But more than that, I'm a young black trans man in this world. And the narrative about Black Lives Matter and the study that came out of Malcolm X grassroots movement, a lot of times when people first started quoting that, they were saying, every 28 hours, who's killed? Black men. Black men. And when a lot of people think about that stat, they think about black men. They don't think about black lives. They don't think about trans women. They don't think about women, period. And the question is, why was it so easy for that statement to get turned into black men? Why is it so easy to leave women out of the stories of our struggle, the stories of freedom, and the stories of how the state is impacting our lives? That's the first question we have to begin with. How do we get to the place where there's a lot of stats, there's no difference in the amount of stop and frisk that are impacting black women, the rising numbers of black women going to jail, all these things, and also the genocide that has been happening to trans women all along, a lot of time is always below the surface. Why is it that our movements and our struggles and the media wants to frame everything around masculinity, and how do we challenge that? And how do we get back to the place where it's about all of our lives, it's about black lives, period, because all of our freedom is tied together, all of our struggles are intersecting. As a queer black trans man, I know what it's like to be perceived as a female person, and I know what it's like to be perceived as a masculine person. And at the end of the day, I catch the most hell because I'm a black person, and everything else falls along with those things. So how do we get to the point where we stop wasting time about who has it worse, men or women, and when we just deal with what's at the root of everything, which is racism and white supremacy and all the other isms, and we come together when we address that. When I talked to Charlene about what she wanted me to talk about, she talked about your experience as a queer trans person. My experience as a queer trans person, my experience as a black person is I'm tired of black mothers crying. I'm tired of having to talk to my young people about consent. I'm tired of having to talk to my young people about how they walk down the street. I'm tired of the weeping, of the crying, of telling the history of the Chicago Freedom School. A big part of our job is making sure that young people understand the historical connections to what's happening today. And I have to always find the strength to look them in the eyes when I'm talking about 1965 and it's the same as 2015. Right. I don't want to have to every year go back into the history books and look at the newsreels and not see a big difference. It's time out for framing things just around man and masculinity and getting real, because I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be here if it weren't for black women in particular, right? My masculinity is a direct direct result of the stories of pain and struggle, as well as creativity and celebration that Black women shared with me. I am blessed to carry their stories. And as a man in this society, I'm accountable for these narratives. I'm accountable for challenging men and also other women who carry these sexism as well and repeat the same things we've been taught. Like, I'm accountable for those stories and for sharing those things and for challenging those things. I'm tired of seeing quotes about how many trans women are going. Like, it's scary. Like, I'm scared at any moment another person, we're gonna hear another person even closer to me has lost their life to the police, has lost their life to being homeless, to not being able to find a job because we have to make risky choices because we're pushed out. I'm tired of being pushed out because I don't fit certain definitions of gender, certain definitions of class, certain definition of race, because I'm not white enough, right? Because I'm not man enough, because I'm not woman enough, because I walk in between genders sometimes. It's time out for all these things, because at the end of the day, they're all connected. Our lives matter, right? And we need to get in the way of anything that dismisses and belittles and divides us away from being connected to each other, because if they can shoot down Rekia, if they can shoot down Trayvon, if they can, Mike Brown, there's too many names. If they can shoot down anybody at any time, what else has to happen for us to get tired? What else has to happen for us to hit the streets? What else has to happen for us to get tired of reading what's happening in the media for us to really do something, right? If we really think that Black Lives Matters, what does that mean for what we do differently when we leave here, right? If we really believe that, what does that mean when we hear from Rekia's mother, and we feel the family's pain and the tears? What does that mean for when we leave here and the next thing that we do? So I just wanted to take some time to encourage and challenge people to really, like, whatever you were doing yesterday, go harder tomorrow, right? Whatever you thought you read that set you on fire, whatever you thought you were doing, that's not enough. Because at any moment, we might lose somebody else. So we need that urgency. We need more bodies out here. We need more people to stand up for women. And standing up for women for me is not, oh, we need to protect our... Standing up for women for me is stepping back so that women can just be as amazing as they've always been. So I'll leave it at that for them.